Look at the book of Leviticus just briefly. Leviticus chapter 11. In Leviticus chapter 11, verses 46 and 47, where we find, this is the law of the animals and of the birds and of every living creature that moves in the waters and of every creature that creeps on the earth, to distinguish between the unclean and the clean, and between the animal that may be eaten and the animal that may not be eaten. Maybe King Nebuchadnezzar loved barbecued pork. I don't know. I can't tell you that. But if he liked barbecued pork, that would be a problem for Daniel, wouldn't it? Because Daniel's going to keep honoring his God. All right. Look at Deuteronomy chapter 14. It'll just reinforce this a little bit more. Deuteronomy chapter 14, and we're going to look at beginning verse 3. You shall not eat any detestable thing. These are the animals which you may eat: the ox, the sheep, the goat, the deer, the gazelle, the roe deer, the wild goat, the mountain goat, the antelope, the mountain sheep. And you may eat every animal with cloven hooves, having a hoof split in two parts, and that chews the cud among the animals. Nevertheless, of those that chew the cud or have cloven hooves, you shall not eat, such as these: the camel, the hare, and the rock hyrax, for they chew the cud, but they do not have cloven hooves, and they are unclean for you. Also, the swine is unclean for you, because it has cloven hooves, yet does not chew the cud. And you shall not eat their flesh or touch their dead carcasses. I would not have made a good Jew. I kind of like, pulled pork. I wouldn't have made it. What if Nebuchadnezzar likes pulled pork? Well, that'd be a problem, for Daniel. I'm not going to read the rest of that one from Deuteronomy, but look at Hosea. The book of Hosea uh, is right after the book of Daniel, of course. And in Hosea chapter 9, we find one more reference that may help us just a little bit. Verses 3 and 4. They shall not dwell in the Lord's land, but Ephraim shall return to Egypt, and shall eat unclean things in Assyria. They shall not offer wine offerings to the Lord, nor shall their sacrifices be pleasing to him. It shall be like bread of mourners to them. All who eat it shall be defiled, for their bread shall be for their own life. It shall not come into the house of the Lord. So Daniel may have known that if he ate the king's delicacies, that he would be exposed to things he should not eat. It may have been out of fear that the meats had been offered to idols. Now that's a New Testament thought for sure. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 talks about things offered to idols. That could be the reason, but I don't have evidence of that, and so I only offer it as a possibility. He made the petition in the form of a humble request. Could I observe for all of us that want to teach people that we need to learn humility? When you take the attitude that I'm in charge and everybody ought to listen to me, you will alienate people. It's just going to happen. They're not going to be happy with you. Uh, okay, Taylor, you with me so far?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep notes.
That's a challenge. Okay, that's why I just go ahead and give you the PowerPoints, and
Yeah,
you can add to those anything you need to.
yep.
Uh, is it Carl? Carhl? Is that Carl? But they call you CJ, right?
Yes, but
Uh, okay. All right. Everything good? You understanding what I'm talking about so far? Very good. Ernest, what about you? Everything good?
Everything is going on well.
Good. Very good. Okay. Uh, I won't ask Nathan. He'll see me later today, so he can go after me if he like. But he's welcome to make comments. I'm not shutting him out either, so don't take it that way. All right, verses 9 and 10. Now God had brought Daniel into the favor and goodwill of the chief of the eunuchs. All right, is that the second time? We might say, well, Daniel had such a great personality that the chief of the eunuchs liked him. But that's not what it says. It says God brought him into good favor. So here we got God in action again. Is that the providence of God at work? Well, might be. Is it the sovereignty? Saying that pretty quickly. So God brought him into favor and the goodwill of the chief of the eunuchs. And the chief of the eunuchs said to Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who has appointed your food and drink. For why should he see your faces looking worse than the young men who are your age? Then you would endanger my head before the king. Look, I like you, but I'm not willing to lose my head over it. That's the way I would put it, if I were saying it. He had found favor. God had caused him to find favor in the eyes of the chief of the eunuchs, sure enough. But he was concerned that Nebuchadnezzar would hold him responsible if Daniel and his friends began to look bad. Their faces got drawn, and they're starting to thin down to the point you can see their rib cage or something like that. That's what he's worried about. So Daniel doesn't give up easily. I don't know the way you see it, but that's what I see. He doesn't give up easily. And so listen to him now, picking up in verse 11. So Daniel said to the steward, whom the chief of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, please test your servants for 10 days, and let them give us vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then let our appearance be examined before you, and the appearance of the young men who eat the portion of the king's delicacies, and as you see fit, so deal with your servants. Now again, my first observation is he maintains that humble attitude. He does, he's got a strong feeling about this. But despite his strong feeling, he's not banging his fist saying, you got to do this because I can't eat that stuff. He's not doing that. Instead, he's saying, well, how about this? Run a test, and it'll just last 10 days. Now, 10 days would be long enough to observe changes. I've got friends who are much more disciplined than I am, who they can start a diet, and in 10 days you can see they've been losing weight. But they don't look emaciated. They've lost weight, and you can tell it, but they haven't lost to the point of somebody saying, hey, what's wrong with you? That kind of a thing. So 10 days would be a good time frame. So he requests the steward over them, give us vegetables and water. Now, to my knowledge, there's no vegetable that God's people have ever been restricted from eating. In the Garden of Eden, they could eat anything in the garden except the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Everything else, fair game. Eat it if you want to. By the way, my observation about the book of Genesis is that that no meat is eaten until Noah gets off the ark. And if you want to make your argument different, then I'd like to see how you're getting it. Because there's no reference to any meat being eaten until after they get off the ark. Then God says you can eat all meat. But he also makes another thing. He makes a law that exists today. You know what the law is? No blood. Can't eat the blood with the meat. Now, I know when you cook meat, there's a little bit of blood that comes out of the meat. I understand that. But the point is you got to slit the throat and bleed the animal before you cook it. And there are places in the world, and some of you may live in those places, where they actually eat blood pudding, and it's made from blood. That's well, God would say you can't do that. We respect life if you're part of God. But anyway, that law is an overarching principle that's established in Genesis 9, and it's used for the Gentiles in Acts chapter 15. So you say, wait a minute, they're being made to keep the law of Moses. No. They're being made to keep the law that God established when Noah got off the ark. That's the law they're being made to keep. Okay? So everybody follow what I'm saying there. So Daniel now has made his suggestion, if you would. All right. So now we're going to pick up with verse 15. And at the end of 10 days, I didn't read 14. Verse 14. So he consented with them in this matter and tested them 10 days. That's a reasonable request that Daniel's made. He's made it in humility, and so it's accepted. And I found, generally speaking, if I take that approach with people, they're pretty receptive to what I have to say. Not always, but most of the time would be my answer. All right, verse 15. And at the end of 10 days, their features appeared better and fatter in flesh than all the young men who ate the portion of the king's delicacies. Thus, the steward took away their portion of delicacies and the wine that they were to drink, and gave them vegetables. As for these 4 young men, God gave them not. There it comes again, Chip. God gave them knowledge and skill in all literature and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. So that's the 3rd time in the opening chapter where we are seeing the providence of God. The Lord gave Jehoiakim to the king of Judah, verse 2. And then as you skip on down, well, I've lost it now. Where did I underline that, Chip? God had brought, verse 9, God had brought Daniel into the favor. And now in this one, as we come along, we find God gave them knowledge and skill in all literature and wisdom. So I'm sorry?
You also had verse 2 as well. God gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah.
Yeah. 2, 9, and now 17. All talk about God gave, God gave, God gave. So we're seeing the providence of God in action with them. Daniel was given a special ability to interpret dreams and visions. What's going to happen now? Now, at the end of the days when the king had said that they should be brought in, this is 3 years later. See, we don't realize it, but the first chapter covers at least 3 years. So they're brought in. The chief of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. Then the king interviewed them, and among them all, none was found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore, they served before the king. And in all matters of wisdom and understanding about which the king examined them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers who were in all his realm. Thus Daniel continued until the 1st year of King Cyrus. All right.